Hey, what's up, guys? I'm just over a week into my new steroid blast cycle, and I'm going to describe what it is and why I believe it is the most ideal steroid cycle, steroid stack that most people who are in my kind of demographic or have my similar goals, it's most ideal for them, but as well maybe even professional bodybuilders, obviously at different dosages that I'm doing, but the same compounds, okay? And I'm going to explain why these compounds are ideal. And the vast majority of it comes down to it being the most safest and effective. If you balance those two, obviously you want to go down a safe road, right? Because there's some drugs that are more effective, but they're less safe. But you don't want to do drugs that are not effective but safe, right? You still want that level of effectiveness, and this is why what I'm doing now is ideal. Second of all, you want to have a great combination that isn't going to skew your estrogen balance and even progesterone and other things. So you want to keep your estrogen in check without crushing it, and that's why this particular stack is most ideal. So let's get right into it. The stack is testosterone 3 to 400. 400 if you don't care about bloating up a little bit, because more if you push it, for me anyway, 400 I start to bloat up a bit, which is good if you want to put on strength and size. Okay, if you want to be more cut, then keep it at 300 and then match with Masteron at 1-to-1 ratio with testosterone, okay? Now, Masteron, a DHT derivative steroid, is a great pair with testosterone. It is like the one that I'll probably do for the rest of my life. And I've done Primobolan before. I haven't done EQ, but the thing about Primobolan and EQ, which are actually very similar, Primobolan and EQ are a lot more similar than Primobolan with Masteron. A lot of time Primobolan gets paired with Masteron as being kind of like comparable compounds, which they are. But the thing about Primobolan and EQ is they have a tendency to crush estrogen. And some people respond to it a lot more than others. Like some people, you could take Primobolan and it wouldn't crush estrogen. Other people, they take the same amount of Primobolan and it's totally crushed. And the same goes with EQ. So if you're doing those, monitoring blood work is especially key. But the thing that I find with Masteron is it doesn't crush EQ. It limits it to a degree because I believe Masteron is acts like a SARM, selective androgen reuptake modulator, or whatever it's called. It doesn't crush estrogen. It's not a aromatase inhibitor like Primobolan or EQ is, but it still mitigates it, if that makes sense. Okay. And I believe there's a lot of debate about this, but I believe Masteron and Primobolan are very similar in anabolic rating. Okay. I think it's around 60. Primobolan may have a tiny bit more, but it's very minimal if there is any difference, okay? But the beautiful thing about Masteron is the hardening effect you get on muscles and strength. I think it has a masculization effect where you get more of a drive than Primobolan does. Primobolan's very chill, right? You don't have you don't get roid rage off Primobolan. It doesn't affect your mood or anything like that. Masteron, I think it gives you a little bit of an edge. I could be mistaken. You guys leave a few comments if you agree, disagree with me. I think there's just a little bit there, which is good because you work at the gym. It affects the gym performance that way. And Masteron also has a great effect on sexuality too, like something like penis sensitivity, other things. I think it affects your central nervous system a lot better than Primobolan does. And the benefit of Masteron, specifically propionate, is you get it in your system a lot quicker than Primobolan. Primobolan's a bit more of a slow burn, so it'll take a few weeks before you start seeing reasonable effects. Masteron, I notice within a week of raising my doses and raising everything, I notice it within a week. Okay, strength and performance in the gym. Okay, so Masteron, that's why I believe it's ideal. People say that you lose your hair on Masteron. I think that's largely a rumor that isn't really valid. Of course, all types of steroids can lose your hair, especially if you're prone to it. But I'm going to argue that the worst for hair is probably something like testosterone, because it converts to DHT. Like, not a DHT derivative. There's a difference between DHT and DHT derivative, which Masteron is. Testosterone converts straight to DHT, and DHT is what's going to affect your hair. So if you're worried about hair, don't take a lot of testosterone. And I'm going to argue that potentially taking large amounts of testosterone with something like EQ and or Primobolan will affect your hair more, because you're potentially crushing your estrogen. With low estrogen, you have and high DHT. I think that's like the worst recipe for hair loss. Leave in the comment section below. I could have mistaken that somehow, but I believe I'm correct on that. The other compound that you're going to add on this perfect stack, I'm going to call it, because I haven't come across one in my research that would be more ideal than this, and I know from personal experience by doing this exact stack, is adding Nandrolone. You can go with the Deca. I prefer the NPP for the main reason that it enters my system quicker, so you get the effects of it a lot quicker. That means you have to inject more frequently, but that's no problem for me. I do every other day. The Nandrolone is going to add muscle fullness to you and 3D definition, because Masteron, even though it's great for hardness and certain benefits to it, dryness, it has a tendency to, what they bodybuilders say, flatten you out. Okay, so we're going to counter that with a little bit of Nandrolone. The other beautiful thing about Nandrolone is strength, size, and recovery. All those things, which is like, again, we're talking about safe and effective. Effectiveness, we're adding a much more effective compound to the stack at a dosage that is safe. So keep it under 200 max. Okay, if you want to push it more, go for it. That's when I started running into anxiety troubles and I believe prolactin issues. So yeah, under 200 should be fine. You're still safe, but you're adding effectiveness, because once you add the testosterone, the Masteron, and the Nandrolone, it all adds up. It all becomes a cumulative. You have cumulative anabolic properties there, and they all work synergistically with each other. Okay. The fourth compound, which you're not going to do throughout the whole cycle, but you add it strategically at the right time, which is generally towards the end of the cycle, is adding Anavar. If you want to be safe, 20 milligrams. Maybe if you're a bit of an older person, 20. But I go 40. The caps I got them before came in. I believe it was actually 38 milligrams. So, and it was like powder form in caps. So if you split that twice throughout the day, that would be ideal. So 20 milligrams towards the beginning of the day, and then 20 milligrams in the afternoon or pre-workout, like an hour before working out, would be ideal. And with that, like, it's the safest oral compound to take, but as well you do it sublingually, so it doesn't actually affect the liver as much. It enters the bloodstream, it doesn't pass through the liver, which is safer, and it has a very high anabolic rating. Don't quote me on this, but I believe it's something like 300 compared to testosterone, which is 100. So you're going to get strength, size, definition, and maybe even a little bit leaner as well. There's some debate on how much it'll actually add to muscle, like, or body leanness, like fat loss, but supposedly it helps. And then lastly, adding if it's within your budget, adding 2 to 4 units of growth hormone a day. I just do it once a day before bed. If you're relatively new, I wouldn't go past 4. Maybe if you're more of an intermediate, maybe 6 I use. If you're more advanced, you can maybe even push it a little bit more than that. Although you gotta be careful once you go past 6. I think 4 is a good number. And with growth hormone and the testosterone that you're taking, you didn't crush your estrogen with the Primo or EQ, so you still have estrogen. That works synergistically, symbiotically with the growth hormone at the tissue site to grow new tissue, proliferate new tissue, and it helps with recovery, and it makes you feel better. So that's what I call a perfect stack. The only other ones is, a lot of people are on the Primo bandwagon. I know I was before. Don't get me wrong, it's great, it works. I think this one's superior, and another one is the EQ. I've never done EQ. Maybe I'll do it in the future. I know a lot of people love EQ. It's a great mass builder, and maybe that's better for more advanced bodybuilders. But for somebody who is like 40 plus, TRT plus, HRT, you're an athletic guy in your 40s or 50s, I think this stack, I don't see how it could be better, to be honest. Like it just works, and there's no negative side effects. Still monitor your blood pressure. If your blood pressure is a little high, just bring your testosterone down 100 milligrams and then remonitor it. Make sure, for me, I don't like when my blood pressure goes above 130, although, it's specific for a few weeks or a month, while taking the Anavar, it might go to 140, in which case, you get the gains and then you come off it and then you're back to normal, and you go 3 or 4 months on just TRT, right? So I think that's all I want to say here. I don't know what else to say. Obviously don't take fucking Tren. It's effective, but it's not safe. Superdrol or whatever the fuck else, Anadrol, obviously not. I wouldn't do, D-ball or T-ball, or, T-ball is one that potentially you could do, but I'm not even going to get in this video. I think Anavar is safer. Well, I know Anavar is safer for oral, so do Anavar, and potentially more effective even. What do you guys think? I think it's like the most perfect stack for what my goals are, and I believe what a lot of your goals are who's watching this as well. Leave in the comments section below. Tell me if I'm right, if I'm wrong. Or add anything else that you think is that should be added. Love to hear all your guys' comments. So I'll leave it there, guys. All right. Thanks for watching. Peace.